You're listening to the Pasco Podcast with Mike Carballa. Welcome to Season 3 of Pasco Podcast, a series about leadership and public service. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the nearly 600,000 people of Pasco County, as represented by the Board of County Commissioners. It's through their trust and empowerment of our workforce and leadership team that we're able to bring you this podcast. This podcast is designed to help public servants build leadership skills and leverage them for success by sharing the experiences of our peers.
Hi, I'm Mike Carballa, and welcome to our 55th episode of Pasco Podcast. Today, we're diving into the heart of public safety with two leaders who help keep Pasco County prepared, protected, and always ready to respond. Whether it's a structure fire, a medical emergency, or even a rescue on the water, Pasco County Fire Rescue is there 24/7, 365. Joining me today for that discussion is Pasco County Fire Chief Ryan Guynn and Special Ops Chief Lee Hudson. Chief, welcome. How are you guys today?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Chief Guynn, just real quick, take a few minutes to tell us about yourself and how you came to Pasco County.
So I'm actually a fifth generation Pasco County resident. Been here for a long time. My family has. My journey in fire rescue is pretty simple. My dad was a fire chief as I was growing up out in high school. So I kind of had a really good idea where I was going as soon as I got out of high school as well. And my parents were adamant I was going to college, and I said, well, that seems like a pretty easy course to take. So I started there. Of course, I tried to, blaze my own trail with the city of Dade City. Right. And then in 2003, the county absorbed that fire department, and that's where I began my journey here in Pasco.
Oh, fantastic. Lee, how about you?
I started in Hillsborough County as a volunteer in 1995. I was 18 years old, drove by the volunteer station, saw a couple buddies there working, and stopped in. After that, went to school, 18 years old, fire school down in Tampa, EMT school down in Hillsborough County, and I got hired here November 22nd, 1999.
Gotcha. So here, so trained down there, but came on board with Pasco Fire Rescue. Yep. That's fantastic. So, Chief, obviously in the family there, you had some friends. Sure. Any other inspiration, Chief Hudson, that kind of led you into the fire service?
Led me? Probably not, but mentors once we got on the job, and I like to say we stand on the shoulders of giants. Mm-hmm. So the people that I've met throughout my career here have really put us in a place to do the things we're doing now. So,
talk to me a little bit more about that journey. I mean, you guys have both been career service here on that. What's that journey been like for you as coming in as a firefighter and then ascending the ranks as to where you are?
I start. It's been long, right? You kind of learn your craft first for a while. It was almost 11 years before I took my first promotion. But once I took that first step into leadership, I realized this is a goal of mine, and I want to keep moving forward. And so I started trailblazing in sort of a sense, and pushing myself, finished my formal education, kept working through. Like Chief Hudson said, we had some really great mentors and leaders to follow, and a lot of great people that were inspirations to me as well throughout this organization and my previous organization, and it kind of helped me get where I'm at today.
That's awesome. What about you, Chief Hudson?
Same track as Chief Guynn. I like to say I took the ladder, not the elevator. Sat in every seat, firefighter, driver, captain, battalion chief, shift commander, and now into this position. But yeah, we had some great mentors coming up. Both of us share a couple of the mentors, and having those relationships is what it's all about. Developing relationships professionally and personally with the people you work with. That's the most important thing we can do here while we deliver our service.
Awesome. So both leaders in the fire service and come through on individual paths and journeys. What does strong leadership look like in today's fire service? Clearly, maybe it's different than it was when you first started, or even before, even when your dad was in. Just talk to us a little bit about
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. So it's changed. As of even 20 years ago, the fire service continuously keeps bringing in more and new responsibilities. As the world changes, so does the fire service, and we just keep growing as to what we're expected to handle. And so, leadership in our organization requires, a little bit of depth. It requires a broad breadth of knowledge, but it also requires you to really fall back on your counterparts. I don't know a lot about special ops, but I know that I don't know a lot about special ops. So right. I rely heavily on Chief Hudson's expertise, and I can promise you he's one of the best in the state. So, knowing your strengths and weaknesses and where to look for to find those correct answers and the right guidance is one of the biggest parts of it.
That's fantastic. And you model that every day. I see that, in how you lead. Chief Hudson, what about you?
I got one rule. It's care.
Okay.
So care, empathy is it's one of those things that we have to do here in the fire service. If you care about the people you serve, the citizens, you care about your teammates, right? Everything else kind of falls into line. If you care, you train hard, you work hard, you do the right thing when nobody's looking. And then the other two things are character and competence. That's what I'm looking for in leadership. I'm looking for people that not only do a good job, but they have that character. We can teach you to be competent, but you come to us with character. That's that integrity, the honesty, the loyalty, the trust.
That's
and
fair.
we build those foundational models on what we want to do in leaders.
Gotcha. Chief, you see a lot, especially on the special ops side. Can you share a moment where leadership made a critical difference during a response?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Hurricane Idalia.
Sure.
So at the time, our partners over at the sheriff's office and us had never worked under unified command, not one time. We kind of were in our little silos and we worked separately. And Idalia was our first really big hurricane we had here in a long time. So individually, we were able to solve some problems, but not at a very rapid pace. But when we unified our command together with the leadership from the sheriff's office and fire rescue, those two teams came together and we were able to take the problems, solve them quickly, and move to the next problem. The leadership from fire rescue and the sheriff's office entrusting a few of us to run that command structure, that's the big leadership thing I saw, because they didn't have to do it.
Right.
We could have followed the model that we followed before, but they led from the front. They trusted us to do the job, and that was a big deal for me.
I remember that it was a turning point here with the fire service and the sheriff, and that continues to this day, and even through joint training exercises. I know that you guys have done. Chief Guynn, anything to add or something?
No, he's spot on. Chief Hudson is. We recognize some gaps. That was one of the biggest things that we kind of. When we put the team together after I took over leadership, we realized that we had some gaps, and that was one of the ones that we needed to fix. And we quickly realized that we have the team that can handle this. Let's get together, let's unify what we're going to do, and let's make this happen.
That's awesome. So, we've got a lot of folks that are early in their fire service careers here. Any advice you would give to them about stepping into leadership roles?
I would start with it's not easy for one, right? You have to know yourself first, and you have to understand your own capabilities and your own commitment. And once you get to that point, leaning on those who come before you, like we were talking about earlier, like Chief Hudson said, standing on the shoulders of giants, leaning on that experience and leaning on those who have walked the walk in front of you is a big part of that.
Yeah, that's true. What about you, Chief Hudson?
We kind of talked about it. The character, the competence, absolutely. Leadership starts with mentorship, right? Find someone that does the job that you do, whether it's in fire rescue or in another line of business here in the county, but find someone who does what you do and they excel. And model yourself after them. Take the good, throw away the bad. And we always joke, you can be Obi-Wan Kenobi or you can be Darth Vader. They were both leaders, right? So strive to be the Obi-Wan, be the good guy, right?
Gotcha.
Try to talk to some of our younger employees out there, but make the choice, and then read. I read all the time. I got a quote here that I wrote down just for reference, right?
Love it. Let's hear it.
It's a Grayism from General Gray, United States Marine Corps. He said, know yourself, know your people, know your profession. Know each person individually, become a constant learner in your profession. Don't go overboard on information and underboard on knowledge. So read.
Yeah.
Pick up a book. There's leadership books out there. And if you don't have that strong mentor with you every day, find one. There's someone out there, maybe in a different line of business, a father, a brother, an uncle, someone's there to help you. So take advantage.
And it doesn't have to be, formalized type programs either, right? I mean, there's people that I look to that I consider mentors, and it may not be a quote, we're going to meet once a month and do all this other, hey, you want a mentor? Sure. And it's not like that. It's very organic in a lot of ways, but, developing those relationships and, there's a lot to it. I promise you the mentors get a lot out of it as well.
100%.
Exactly. Working with that. I think it's sound advice. So let's switch gears a little bit here. We have just recently commissioned Marine One, had the occasion to actually see it twice, once on your christening, and then with my executive team, we were able to go out on, and even on a call. Can you talk to us a little bit? This is a brand new thing, and a lot of buzz out there with it. It's exciting. Talk to me about the need for this. What brought it about? Give us a little bit of history and capabilities that this new asset brings to us.
Well, first and foremost, we start off with, we cover 176 miles of continuous shoreline in Pasco County. Knowing that the need for this boat to respond to medical emergencies and fires was the goal, right? That's what we needed. We had a couple incidents out on the water in the past. We had the casino boat fire. We've had some scallop season recreational boaters out there. We've had some accidents. So we as Fire Rescue thought it was important to put ourselves out there and to make ourselves available for those EMS calls and those fire calls. Knowing that, we kind of partnered with the U.S. Coast Guard, FWC, the Sheriff's Office, and other local partners who have boat teams, and we kind of built it out that way. We looked at what they did well and admittedly what they thought they could do better, and we kind of took all of that stuff and we built it here at home.
Well, that's awesome. Chief, anything to add to that?
No, it's something that we recognized many years ago that we needed, and we've been working towards that for quite a few budget cycles to get where we're at now. And it's exciting that it came online when it did. From day one, it's been active and it's been needed. So it's
we had a call. We had a call while we were out there with them, and they were kind enough to let us go with them and observe. It's interesting. You said 176 miles of coastline here in Pasco County. We're so diverse, right? You've got all this coastline. You've got urban, suburban areas, nice picturesque rural areas, and guys got to cover a lot of ground. But the marine side of it is something that's been it's been wanting for a little while, because our boating popularity is picking up. And I think what I really liked about it, the capabilities of the new unit, is we operate in a lot of shallow waters. And I learned on that trip that even the Coast Guard has a hard time responding in a timely manner to get up. And you guys are really filling a vital gap in that, especially when it comes to people having emergencies just on their boats.
Just medical emergencies, and we've run 2 or 3 serious cardiac arrests out there since its inception.
So talk to me a little bit about what kind of training and mindset Marine Response has, right? When they go to fire school, I don't know if you're practicing that kind of stuff, right? It's kind of traditional, so it's a little different.
Right. We always joke, fire school is your ticket to get in, right?
Yeah.
And then once you get in, you find your niche. So Marine is its own niche, right? It requires its own specific skills and training and guidelines. So that training kind of was adopted from the Coast Guard. I mean, they're the gold standard in water response here locally. And then we talked to other agencies. We took their training programs. We developed our own training program that was more tailored to our needs. It was navigational testing. It was nighttime operations, all the technology on the boat. A little bit about the technology. We have FLIR on it. We have radar. We have sonar. We have every doohickey you can imagine on a boat. So that training had to be codified, and then it had to be delivered to our employees, and then we had to make sure that we had the right people for the right job.
Gotcha. So how'd you go about finding those folks? I mean, maybe there's no shortage of volunteers.
Right.
I don't know.
Raise your hand if you want to be on a boat.
Plenty of volunteers. Plenty of volunteers. But, most firemen have, either a second job or experience with a lot of hobbies and stuff.
Sure.
So we have a plethora of individuals who are just qualified in multiple different things. And it wasn't hard to find the volunteers, but once we found them, it was easy to weed through and find the ones who are serious about this and who are capable of handling, because they're, essentially autonomous out there with this huge piece of machinery. And, anybody who's traversed the waterways of Pasco County knows that they're not easy waterways to traverse either. There's, more hazards out there than there aren't.
Correct.
And so we really needed a lot of specialized individuals, and we're glad that we found the ones that we have.
That's awesome. So in addition to Marine One, we've gotten more inflatable boats. What role do those assets play when it comes to water rescue operations?
Rescue. Yeah, a lot. So the last 2 hurricanes last year, we pulled almost 1,200 people out of the water, and the majority of that was just one at a time with the boats. The inflatable boats and some of our other apparatuses are essential to just doing that high water, that swift water rescue that we have. And you don't think of swift water or high water in Pasco County inland, right? But
No.
I mean, you saw some of the pictures. We're rescuing people off of stop signs that are half submerged underwater. You can't even read the sign because the water's that deep. And so we rely on that heavily. We're going to rely on that heavily for our response this year as well. But I think, with the times, we're not really 100% positive what federal and state aid's going to kind of look like for natural disasters.
Yeah.
So we think that, we're also prepared to help our neighbors, and our neighbors are also prepared to help us. But, we're super proud because Pasco County kind of is in a situation where we are, Chief Hudson's put our special ops into a realm where we're really, really equipped to handle a lot of things in Pasco County on our own without any assistance. And that's a special place to be in the fire rescue realm.
That's awesome. And so that kind of brings me to the next question here for you, Chief Hudson, is, special ops teams always making an impact. You talked about Hurricane Idalia, making an impact there. I see these giant trucks driving down, says special ops on the side of them. They look like a fire truck, but they're just a little different. Talk to me about a time, talk to me about some other critical incidents and things that the special ops team's gotten involved in, and whether it was on land or even in the water. But
we talked about the water at the beginning, and just real quick, the resiliency of our own county. That's why we invest in these things. Mm-hmm. We want to be resilient. We want to be hardened here for anything that might happen locally, right? And like Chief Guynn said, reaching out, helping our neighbors to the east and west and north and south. So the resiliency is key. We also have inside of that implemented with the Swiftwater. I want to talk just a little bit about some of those guys credentialing. So we have 65 Swiftwater operators. That's boat operators, rescue swimmers, and we send those guys off to school to West Virginia where they get the best training that you can do. And then the USAR guys on our USAR task force, we have 85 guys that are rescue specialists. Their disciplines include trench, confined space, high angle, vehicle machinery rescue, and structural collapse. So talking about those different core disciplines that we have just in the USAR and the Swiftwater world, we had quite a few Swiftwater calls during the hurricane last year. Some rooftop rescues, just like you see on TV, boats up to the front door and there's people inside. And then during the storm, during Milton, we had on the east side of the county, the storm came through and there were some large trees trapped on the side of mobiles and other homes. And we had to find our way in there. And that's where the structural collapse component comes in. So those guys make entry, they shore up and they tunnel their way in and they get the people out.
And that's so specialized. I mean, you think about it of what the day-to-day emergencies that you have to deal with. I mean, if you really just look at the spectrum of them, you've got maybe 90% are, kind of normal calls that most people would think about where a rescue or a fire engine shows up or whatever. But then these really bad days, these disasters, and you talk about, we see more and more of this stuff, whether they're man-made or they're weather-made or whatever happens out there, being prepared for that. So clearly, I mean, I know I sleep better at night at Pasco County. Do you guys support other counties, other agencies with these kind of specialized, equipment?
Yeah, we do. Specifically with our hazardous material team.
Okay.
So hazmat is another one of our disciplines that we have inside of special operations. We covered SWAT as well, but hazmat response all over the county. We've gone in north, we've gone south. We had a pretty high acuity call down in Tampa where it took multiple hazmat teams to solve the problem. So we like to be partners and make friends before you need them.
Yeah.
So we're out making friends, we're out doing the work and developing relationships throughout the Bay Area and state.
And that's fantastic. And keeping other first responders safe. You mentioned the SWAT medic program. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, SWAT medic is one of those things, right? We have a SWAT team and they needed medics and we partnered with the sheriff's office. Our guys go through the same SWAT school that the sheriff's office guys go through, which is interesting.
Especially when a firefighter's a better sharpshooter than a cop, huh?
You heard about that, right? No, we've got some really good guys. We got some former military guys that were corpsmen. We got military guys that were medics in the military. And you take those, we kind of talked about at the beginning, these guys are coming into the fire service already with a foundation of things that they did prior to coming to us. We kind of talked beforehand about welding and, commercial fishermen that decided to run the marine ops program with us, which was great to have those in our back pocket. But we came into this with military guys who had the military training and now have the paramedic skills, and they integrate so well with the sheriff's office.
Yeah, and that saves more lives in the long run should those unfortunate
it's those
things
high risk,
unfold.
low frequency calls.
That's correct.
So,
And more and more, each individual call that we run is becoming more specialized. You can't just show up and cut a car open anymore. You don't know where those high voltage lines are at. You don't know whether it's running on compressed natural gas or, other alternatives fuel. High tensile. Yeah, same as structure fires. The different type of construction that's going on out in there. You have to be specialized to know what you're looking at before you can actually start operating on it. So we rely on these special operations, these higher level classes. Like we said, you get your ticket to get in with your fire academy.
Right.
There's so much more to learn on top of that.
There certainly is, and then dealing with the work stress that comes with a lot of those things. Kind of one of the impetuses behind where we moved with the D shift. So I want to talk about that a little bit. This is Chief. This is it's rare. But it's something that I'm proud that the fire service, the Board of County Commissioners, and the citizens of Pasco County have really backed this. Let's talk about what this new structure means for the department, and talk about the impetus for the change.
Part of the impetus was we needed to work on that work-life balance. Obviously, with our traditional 24/72 and only having a 6-week Kelly day, we were working, a large amount of hours, more so than our neighbors, but more so than the general public and all. And the reality is it's not the fire service of 20 years ago. We're running 24 hours a day.
It's
nonstop.
really not. I mean, if you're not running 5 calls a day here, you got stations running 15, 18.
Yes, they're running 5 after midnight.
And that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And so, people purpose performance, right? I mean, the county admin luckily was able to buy in on the project as well. But the purpose was to take a large swing at this while we had an opportunity to, and move the pendulum. Replacing 80 individuals a year that we were losing cost us millions of dollars. Backfilling with tens of thousands of hours of overtime was costing us millions of dollars. So let's be smart, right? Let's take this money that we're essentially, I don't want to say wasting, but we're essentially not being able to capture and control and keep here, and repurpose it into this D shift and offset the cost, and hopefully be able to drive a process change that's it's already taken effect.
Yeah, it is. I see the new hires, and the cost of high turnover, the cost of overtime, the cost of burnout. Right. And then we just talk about mental health, and that's a whole nother subject that we could dive into. This D shift really makes it a point to help out with that. I don't know, Chief Hudson, any observations on this?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what Chief Guynn said, when we first started, there was no Kelly Day. That was an industry standard all around us. From my other hats I used to wear, I know that was 2,912 hours a year. And from my other hat that I used to wear, I know that the normal 40-hour employee works 2,080 hours. So knowing that, we worked 800 hours extra. That was 20 extra weeks more than any other 40-hour employee. So that work-life balance is important. Getting those guys on a traditional 40-hour work week, putting them on that cycle. We're investing in our people, and we're gonna reap the rewards of that. There'll be a return on investment. People will be loyal to us because we're loyal to them. Relationships matter. So we're investing in our people, and they're investing in us, and that's the best thing.
And I think they see that. And Chief, proof is in the pudding. I look at our turnover rate, and it is extremely low, pretty much non-existent.
Yes,
retirements maybe, and that's about it, which is great. And so Pasco's on the map. It's the place to be. A lot of young firefighters wanting to start their careers here. Even folks mid-career changing agencies, which in this career field is kind of a big deal, because you the way these things are structured, they kind of have to start over again.
Right, they do.
But they see it. They see the long-term gain, and I think it's how we treat our people. And I know our board has always been caring for our employees, but making sure that our firefighters and first responders are taken care of is so important. Let's talk about a day in the life of a firefighter. Typical day for a firefighter here in Pasco County. Chief Hudson.
Well, hopefully they show up at 7:30 when work time starts at 8.
All right, fair enough.
Early, or you're late. So no, they're going to show up in the morning. They're going to do their job. Their job is to number one, make sure that the truck is there. Make sure that all the equipment's accountable. Make sure that all your drugs, your monitor, your keys, your fire hose is there. Your water's on the truck. Check those check boxes in the very beginning. Then you're going to do your station duties. And when I was a captain, I used to always joke like, "Hey, you're a janitor and a fireman, so we're cleaning the station. We're cleaning toilets. We're sweeping. We're mopping." And then after that, we're going to come up with a training plan, what we're going to do for the day, right? And we're going to take that training plan, we're going to go execute it. And then after that, most of the guys are working out, lifting weights, running calls.
Doing school.
If
they get a chance.
I was going to say, that's all this is great. That's the plan, but in the middle, and just like when I've gone to stations before, either to have breakfast with the guys or just talk, and they're gone, or sometimes there's. You just never know, right? Chief, anything to add?
No, one of the things I've been pushing for the guys is, through all the chaos, throughout the 24 hours of chaos and confusion, to just make sure you hold on to each other and keep that family atmosphere, because that's one of the aspects that keeps us a small town, large department. I think that makes us different than a lot of others, and that's one thing I really push with our officers, especially when we bring them in, we promote them. We have some mentors that sit down and have a long talk with them about, just expectations. And, what makes us different is you and our men and women. And so let's keep that together. So
That's awesome. That, and you bring up the human side of it. So tell me a little bit about maybe what some of our listeners might want to know about the people, behind those uniforms, Chief.
they're people.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. They're people just like us, or just like you and anybody else, and that, they've got some training to do some things, and they're asked to do miracles sometimes. And, a lot of times we can do miracles, but when you can't do miracles, a lot of times you take that personally, and you carry that guilt around with you. So, but we do a good job of helping them work through that situation as well. But at the end of the day, firemen are just firemen, and they're just normal people, normal men and women that are walking around. But we have a servant attitude, and we want to help.
That's awesome. Chief Hudson, anything to add?
Just adding on to what Chief Guynn said, they're not superheroes. They don't wear capes. They're men and women just like you. I think the big differentiation is that they care, and I keep going back to care because I think it solves a lot of problems, but they're committed. They're committed to meeting people at the point of their needs, whatever that need might be. All the time, Chief Guynn will get the emails in and we'll send them back out to somebody who ran a 911 call. Somebody was cutting their grass. The ambulance takes them away, and the crew stays and cuts their backyard.
Yeah.
They bring the groceries in for somebody. So that caring part, it means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to the men and women out there in the field doing the job. I know they care because we see the effect of them caring every day. But that's the big thing.
And you guys, and with that, you've built great trust in the community, which is so important because that's our mission, right? Serving our community, and I see you guys do it every day. Any advice, Chief Guynn, for someone who is considering a career in the fire service?
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
That's
All right.
the biggest piece of advice. My first piece of advice is set your mind to it. Work hard, get on the right foot. And the second piece of advice would be come to Pasco County.
Yeah, amen.
You honestly want to work for the best fire department, and we're it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that statement. Chief Hudson?
Invest in yourself.
Okay.
Invest in yourself. Spend some time, education, some training. Read a book. I can't tell people enough. Read a book. Spend some time doing what you love. And if this job is what you love, spend time doing it. You only get out of it what you put into it. The ticket in the front door, it got you there. And then find out what your thing is. Everybody has a thing. As an all hazards fire department, we have many opportunities for people that are coming into the fire service, and we're welcoming them with open arms as these new people come in. We get the emails every day about them wanting to join this or be part of this team. So it's a big deal. We've created opportunities for people that are coming into the fire service to excel and do something they love. And I think that's the most important thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome, guys. So, listen, it's I've never made it a secret, right? I've grown up in a firefighter household, brother, father, uncle, cousin, all doing that kind of stuff. I know you guys are pranksters. Tell me a little bit. What's the funniest thing
We got statute of limitations
that's ever
on this?
happened in the firehouse? Safe space. Only all our listeners are listening.
Only all the listeners are listening.
I'll probably plead the fifth on that one, to be honest with you.
All right, second funniest then.
We always have fun, and I encourage you guys to have fun a little bit, right? The men and women have a little bit of fun, within the limits and within boundaries, of course. But that's part of it. You're hanging out with a family that you love, and you're always going to give each other a little bit of a hard time.
Absolutely.
Chief Guynn kind of talked about the kitchen table. When I was a new captain at a station, everybody sits down at the kitchen table, eats dinner, and the Rays game was on. So the Rays game is on, and they're singing the national anthem, and I stood up in the middle of the national anthem, put my hand on my heart, and I watched the entire crew get up and do the same thing. And then they repeated that. Shift after shift.
So every time you walk into the room, everybody stood up.
I finally had to let them in. I'm like, I've never done that before. I was just seeing if you guys would follow me, and they did.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you speak of the dinner table. Who's talk to me? Best food you've ever had?
Oh, man. He'll probably say the same thing. We had a captain, Lieutenant Louis Herrero, mentor to both of us. The guy could cook anything.
Really?
He could cook anything from wild game to
Palomino steak.
Palomino steaks, picadillo.
Oh, man.
I think that's a cool thing about the fire department too, is as we grow as a department, even back then when we were out in the streets doing the job, like we're so diverse, and we have so many different people that are coming in and out, and those new people want to come in and they want to cook you their grandmother's favorite recipe.
That's awesome.
So we've eaten every nationality, good and bad. But we've tried just about a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
The dinner table.
I used to enjoy cooking. That was one of my things.
Yeah.
I'd show up to the shift in the morning as a captain, and I'd cook breakfast for everybody. And that's how I would start my days. I'd cook breakfast before 8 o'clock. We'd be at the dinner table, having breakfast, going through the expectations of the day and what we had to do. And then, of course, that's when we would decide what we were going to try to have for dinner that night. And if we were lucky enough
to get there, right? Yeah.
I enjoyed cooking.
100%. So if you don't get there, coffee or energy drink?
These days,
maybe a cocktail. I don't know.
It would be normal. Neither. I would always just do iced tea, but just because I don't drink coffee. But I found myself having to rely on the Monster energy drinks quite a bit often.
How about you, Chief Hudson?
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Yeah,
all right,
Bull,
on the energy. All right, trick question: Dalmatian or German Shepherd, guys?
I got a Jack Russell, so it's high energy. I like it.
Probably German Shepherd.
German Shepherd. Okay, very good. Well, listen, guys, I appreciate you being here with us today. Really learned a lot. Everything from water rescues, D shift, to all the great things that Pasco Fire Rescue is doing out there in the community. So just really truly appreciate what you guys do and what the people under your charge do. I know I can say that on behalf of myself. The board, administration across the board here in this county, even the citizens, I can tell that they respect and they are happy that you guys are there, quite honestly, probably on the worst day of their lives. And so you do that well and you do it so caringly. So thank you for that. And a special thanks to our media relations team who makes this effort possible. And thank you for joining us on this episode of Pasco Podcast. I'm Mike Carballa, and we'll see you next time.